think we might have missed the tea break around 3 o'clock. Sorry, did we miss the tea break? Was there one? Or we seem to have gone straight through from lunch to get to this point. But not to worry. Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking with us. I'm going to keep up the theme that we're also a start-up. We've been going for a good 4 months now, since July-ish. Just to sort of explain JDF Media and the idea behind the Future of Design Technology Summit today. To me, it's fundamental. Climate change is by far the biggest threat to the planet ever faced. It's the #1 priority. In fact, it's the only priority. It has to be, because if we can't reverse climate change, and soon nothing else will matter, it is the #1 important factor for the future of the planet. So just to sort of summarise how the Future of Design Technology as an idea came about. I'm sorry, I'm using very low-tech methods of delivery here because I haven't got any slides apart from that one. A bit fed up then. In July of this year, there was news story about climate change in the headlines, happening right here, right now, way quicker than experts had predicted. Things like record global temperature rises, bats falling out of trees dead, suffering with extreme heat in Australia, California wildfires laying waste thousands of acres of forests and homes. And the one for me that really did strike home was the weight of plastic in oceans weighing more than fish by 2050 at current rates. And another shocker was half of Greenland's ice shelf melting and sliding into the sea in a day, which really brought it home. I think it did for a lot of people that heard that news story. That's a massive 12.5 billion tonnes in a single day, which rose sea levels globally. In fact, Greenland is losing 8.5 million metric tonnes of ice per second. That's per second, which is an astonishing figure, a massive 12.5 billion tonnes in a single day, as I said. But I think it's that fundamentally, if things continue as they are, then and Greenland loses all its ice, sea levels will rise by 7 metres. So we can talk about temperature rise and things like that. The bottom line is that if it happens, you know, we are going to be in deep trouble, and deep water, as it turns out. There's also our own problems with widespread flooding and coastal erosion. I live close to the east coast, close-ish, of England, and I've witnessed firsthand the damage that's doing to coastal towns and beauty spots, and seeing buildings, particularly on cliff edges, getting very close to just teetering off and being washed away. And the one thing for me that I don't think gets talked about anywhere near enough is palm oil production. It's one of the biggest global fastest of our time. I mentioned this to Jeremy Corbyn at a recent meeting in my hometown of Stevenage, and he thanked me for raising the issue because it's never discussed. It's nearly, the palm oil, just explain, is in nearly everything we eat and consume. The destruction it's causing to the rainforest is still not widely known by anybody. They're not aware of it. We need to address it urgently through consumer pressure, and it's easy to accomplish that. You just stop buying products with palm oil and palm oil fats. As my partner Elizabeth will tell you, we've done that. It's not easy. You have to look at every label, weigh everything up. But you know, particularly chocolate, because I love chocolate, or did. But it's full of palm oil, particularly thanks to Cadbury's that seem to be increasing their loads of it. So you know, it's possible to put a stop to these things, and we've seen the rise in people not using single-use plastics anymore. And cutting down on red meats and things like that. So you know, it is possible. Sorry. So there's lots of grim stories out there about climate change. Mike Aslan earlier delivered a fantastic opening to the conference that touched on and went into great detail actually about the horrors that we're managing to put this planet through, and you know, I don't want to go on about those, but so going back to July with the idea of coming up with the summit, I was thinking that with all these news stories, you know, what can we do? We can't rely on governments and our leaders to save us. What was needed was human ingenuity, science and innovation to give us a new direction and a hope for the future. And I think today's demonstrated that really well, that there is a lot of technology out there already. We just need to implement it, scale it up to a global level, and really just take the whole issue of climate change much more seriously. And I think this year, particularly this summer, has seen that happen. And I think what started as a passion and an idea is turned into something way bigger in just a few months for us with the conference. I've been privileged, just on the kind of ideas of behind the conference and how it all came about. I've been privileged to spend a good part of this year with my 2-year-old daughter Emmy. I started to wonder what kind of a life she'll have in the future, and how she'll be equipped to survive what could be a harsh environment. In fact, she's been my main motivation for the summit. I want to give her a future where she doesn't have to wear scuba gear or travel in a glass-bottom boat to see central London. And the way things are looking, that could well be on the cards. So, we need to make sure that, as Greta Thunberg says, not only the younger generation, our generation, we're all going to be here hopefully in 20, 30 years' time. We want the quality of life to be the same and hopefully improve. But I think we've got a debt of gratitude to Greta Thunberg for what she's done, because we talked about climate change stories and things that come, they're cyclical, they come up and they disappear when the news story moves on. But she's put it in the news constantly. She's getting lots of digs, not least of all that she's a time traveller from 1881, I think the latest story is, with a dead spit image of her, from the Yukon Valley in Canada. And it's spooky that my mother's name was Greta as well, so there might be something there. But I think it's important to remember that she's just made it an issue for everybody. Ordinary people have now got a voice that can talk about climate change and the issues and the horrors, that we are heading towards if we're not careful. On a positive note, I met Cyrus from the China-Britain Business Fusion through LinkedIn, which I think is one of the more effective methods of social media contact, certainly for business anyway. Someone's laughing down there. And I found it very effective because we were able to meet very quickly, we could talk over ideas, and we started to formulate a plan where ideas about science and technology could be to use to reverse climate change, or at least have an effect on it. And Cyrus is the founder and CEO of China-Britain Business Fusion and the AI Summit. And there's vast connections and experience in AI and robotics. And we quickly looked at ways those technologies can be implemented to help businesses become more sustainable and work towards zero carbon goal. And that's really just where it all ballooned, really. And we looked at all the different elements of that. And I think, we've only just scratched the surface today of what could be done, both with the conference and and with awareness to what the technologies are out there. So that's I'm hoping we can take this the format forward and do more to cover climate change and what can be done to hopefully turn things around. Cyrus has done a great job putting together our incredible panel of speakers, panellists, partners, and I think you'll agree it's been a truly fascinating day of discussion, insights and information that I sincerely hope will help raise global awareness towards climate change reversal and reduce our reliance on fossil fuels once and for all. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that has attended today and supported us and shown an interest in what we're doing, and I'd like to welcome Cyrus to the stage, and we'll take some photographs and thank everybody for attending.